A wise man once said, "You never truly quit RuneScape. You simply take very, very long and extended breaks, and then you come back to do something very stupid." Or it was something along those lines. Maybe it was chopped off at one point in there, but I think it's time for me to come back and do something very, very stupid. But it'd also be a lot of fun too. Yes, it is true. I am coming back. Some of you may have seen I have been doing some YouTube videos along those lines, doing some stuff that I wanted to make on my YouTube channel. Some of it's been doing pretty well, honestly, and some of it has been not doing super well. And I figured, there's no better way for me to, take out one series, start it with a new series, than just by doing something that I want to do. And I will preface this in two separate sections. My first reason for a return is, well, I'll be honest, on literally every single video I've put out since I've started doing this, about half, if not more, of the comments have been, "Go play RuneScape." So I'm not going to say I was bullied back into it, but it was very good timing that everything happened, and I'm getting the itch to play again. Honestly, I've been talking with some old friends ever since I started doing the YouTube again. What am I, a boomer? Actually, I am pretty much now. Since I've been doing YouTube again, I've been talking with some old friends who, I played with all the time back in the day when I was playing, RuneScape really consistently, and I just feel the itch. I need to play again, and I'm actually really excited. Wow, he says he's excited to make another account. That's cool. Yeah, I can't wait until he gets really far on this account, does some really crazy things, and then quits on us all of a sudden and doesn't make videos anymore and goes a very long time without any sort of communication. Listen here, guy. I already know you're typing up that little cute YouTube comment. Ha 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 ha, funny. Just enjoy life, man. Just enjoy life. Let's have fun. You don't gotta be negative. Let's just have fun. Enjoy the series. My second reason is because the series that I'm about to embark on, I didn't feel comfortable doing it until I got permission from the creator of the idea to do the series. Now, the series that I'm going to be not taking over, but picking up the torch on is, in my opinion, my personal opinion, one of the greatest YouTube series of all time. The series is one in which only 3 episodes were produced for it. But the 3 episodes themselves accumulated over 1 million views. And unfortunately, due to personal reasons, the creator of the series stopped making the series, and I don't believe they're going to be picking it up anymore. The series of which I'm talking about is the One Chunk at a Time series. It was originated by the genius himself named Puka Guy. Now, if you have not watched this series, it's about, like I said, 3 episodes long, but about 8 hours. He made just like 3-4 hour long episodes per video he did. And I knew if I ever came back to the game, I would not want to make your standard progress video series, because how many people do you currently watch right now that do that exact same thing every single day? Probably too many. And there's just no point in me making another progress series that everybody's seen before, and I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go through that, so I wanted to do something absolutely insane. I didn't want to do that anymore, and that's why I chose to do the One Chunk at a Time series. So you're probably wondering, why didn't you feel comfortable doing it before? It's been about a year since he stopped making the videos. Well, I had a friend, thank you Danny very much, who knows John, Puka Guy, on Discord, or at least knew of him, and he reached out to him via Discord, a private message, and said, "Hey, I have a friend, he would like to do your series, but he doesn't feel comfortable doing it without your permission because he doesn't want to steal your idea." He sent him a private message. Puka Guy responded saying, that he's more than fine with it, and he'd be happy for me to take it over. He even gave me a place to promote the series if I wanted to as well. Here is the picture of the conversation, if you'd like to see it as well. Fortunately, the original creator of the series is a genius, and he made pretty much every single rule that I'm going to follow for this series. I'm probably going to add a few things as we go along, but at least in the beginning, for the good, first while, I am going to be following his rules pretty much to a T. So, if you've never seen the rules, and you'd like to, here's an educational PowerPoint video for you. Hello and welcome to my PowerPoint video during our educational corner segment of this video. During the next 13 slides, you will see exactly what the account rules will be. Am I wearing a suit jacket? Yes, I am. Is it what I wore on my wedding day? Yes, it is. Did I cry when my wife walked down the aisle like a baby? Am I wearing my Buying GF t-shirt underneath? Regardless. Yes, I am, but there are more important things at hand here. So we are going to go through the one chunk at a time rules. And a big thanks to Puka Guy for being a genius. Okay, I can't keep this voice up. So, yes, we're going to go through these rules. It's going to make absolutely no sense. Hopefully I explained it decently. If you want to, and I almost kind of say you should do this if you want to fully learn the rules, go to Puka Guy's channel, see the spellings right there, and then watch the first about 14 minutes of his third episode, and you'll see all of the rules. Well, I shouldn't say all the rules that we're going to be abiding by in the beginning, and then we will grow off of there. So with that being said, let's get right into it. I'm going to start going through these rules, hopefully explain everything well enough. If you have questions, leave a comment. I'm more than happy to answer from there. So what is a chunk? I don't know why this one does it. I have to click another time, and then it does some sort of cool transition. Gielinor, which is Runescape, is made up by 64, so 64 by 64 chunks, or squares, which make up, pretty much of the entirety of the world. That's why the world can be oddly shaped in RuneScape. It's by 64 chunks. Each chunk may have a primary, secondary, or tertiary action that can or must be performed before moving on to the next chunk. Now that means absolutely nothing to you right now, but I'll explain it a little bit further. All skilling challenges must be completed before moving on to another chunk. We're likely going to increase that to all skilling challenges plus unique RNG-based drops from monsters, but we're not going to have to worry about that for quite a long time. As I mentioned, primary, secondary, and tertiary resources. What is a primary resource? Any primary resource is an action that results in a guaranteed outcome or results in a guaranteed primary resource. So you chop an oak tree, you're always going to get an oak log. You mine a tin vein, you're always going to get a tin ore, etc., etc. All of these primary actions result in a primary resource. It's something that can be replicated over and over and over and over again until the end of time, and I'll get the same exact outcome without any other input every single time. Secondary resource. A secondary resource is anything received from an action based on RNG or anything received from a time-gated action. For example, RNG, an Abyssal Whip received from an Abyssal Demon, something that I didn't put in here, as far as a skill goes, is an item received via pickpocket. So you can pickpocket ham members and receive a coal piece and an iron piece. So if I unlock the chunk with ham members in that chunk, I will need to pickpocket them, get the coal and iron, turn it into a steel bar. Time gated. Runes from a magic tutor and or fruit from a tree. A tertiary action is any action that is not specific to any one piece of content, nor is the action something sought after due to it being in a certain area. For example, random events, rare drop table, bird's nest, uncut gems from mining. None of those things you're going to be doing on purpose, very likely, and you can do it literally anywhere in the world, and there's no actual way to obtain that thing. It happens by chance. So you can't grind random events. Well, I guess you could, Swampletics did, but you're not really supposed to grind random events, nor are you supposed to grind nests or gems from a rock. All right, now we are going to speak about the options for all of these. So primary, secondary, and tertiary training options. So a primary training option is XP from a static resource, obviously tin or vein. You're always going to get mining SP from mining tin every single time. Secondary training, time gated. A secondary training, which is time gated, is raking leaves. So you can rake them. I think it's about 3, which is 12 XP, and then you have to wait for it to grow. So you'll wait over and over and over again. It's not something that you can do repeatedly like it is with tin. Why did I spell it tine? I'm stupid. I'm sure there's so many spelling errors in here. You can't do it repeatedly. And then tertiary, XP lamps, completely random. You never know when you're going to have it. It happens by itself over time, no matter where you are in the world. There's nothing you can do. I mean, there's probably some things you can do, but there's very little you can do to force an XP lamp. We have to break up the tasks that will unlock a new chunk by 2 separate ideas. Our first is an environmental task. So when is there an environmental task? So this exists when an entity, a tree to cut, rock to mine, fish to fish, in an unlocked chunk that gives XP without consuming an item has a level requirement. For example, I unlock a magic tree. I have to train up to 75 woodcutting, chop the magic tree. There's that achievement done. There's a rock, I gotta mine it. There's a fish, gotta fish it. Tree, gotta chop it. When is a processing task initiated? Simply put, a processing task is a task that could be carried from one chunk to another and may not be chunk specific or tethered to the map itself, not tied to a specific chunk. For example, fletching the highest tier log, cutting the highest tier gem, smelting the highest tier bar. So when is a processing task initiated? And I took all of these rules directly from Puka Guy. These are word for word his rules. As you can see, I've been putting the exact sources in where in his videos you can find these rules. Only one level of processing is required. For example, in the first chunk, there will be a U log in my first 64 by 64 square that I started in Lumbridge. I simply need to train up to, I believe it's 60 fletching to be able to chop the U logs into arrow shafts. I don't need to train up to 75 fletching to do a U longbow or whatever it is for a U longbow. Only one level of processing with that piece of material is required. If I stumble upon an adamant rock, I don't need to get 85 or 90 smithing, whatever it is, to be able to make an adamant plate body. I'd simply need to get 70 smithing to be able to make an adamant dagger or an adamant bar. If an item is obtained through processing, it is no longer chunk specific and is no longer something that initiates a skilling challenge. And only primary and secondary resources can initiate a processing task, not tertiary. If I got a diamond from a mining vein or a random event, I would not need to cut it before moving to a new chunk. When is a processing task initiated? Good question. When there is a primary or secondary resource in an unlocked chunk that is not a result of processing, that can be processed, grants XP, and has a level requirement. When am I required to complete a skilling challenge? And for example, I will use in Draenor, which is about 1 to 2 chunks away from Lumbridge, which I would probably get pretty shortly after starting the series. There is a rooftop agility course. Now you need level 10 agility to use that course. And obviously, up until that point, I have no way of training agility. My only way of training agility is at the mercy of RNGesus giving me genies and training my way up to 10 agility via a genie. Not going to happen. So, as soon when am I required to complete a skilling challenge? As soon as I have a primary training method for that skill. So that's pretty much everything. Here is a recap. If you don't understand it, that's okay. I barely understand it myself, so we're just going to learn together as we go on. Long story short, I got to do everything in a chunk. If there's a tree, I gotta chop it. If there's an adamant rock, I gotta make an adamant bar. Don't have to make an addy plate from it. Along with this series, as per usual, what I always do is I am going to be an Ironman, nay, a hardcore Iron Man. I always said that I wasn't going to do this because I pay no attention to the game, but I feel like I've grown up a little bit and I can actually pay attention a little bit more. And also, I think with having the fact that I'm a hardcore is that I'm not going to put myself in stupid and precarious situations that I'll allow myself to die in pretty frequently. So we are going to leave ourselves as a hardcore Iron Man. X that box and I am just so excited to get this going because it's going to be an insane grind. And once I actually get going places, because the first beginning of the game is going to be so awful. There's no other way to explain it. But I truly know, like, once I start getting going and I'm actually doing some pretty cool stuff and getting some cool places, it's just going to be awesome. It's really going to be awesome. So I'm really, really excited to get started. So this was more so an introduction video, less than getting into the nitty gritty of the actual idea and the grinding. So beginning of first episode, I'll explain everything a whole lot further in detail, what we're doing, the methods, the strategies, how we're going to complete our first chunk and move on from there. Also, if you take a look in the bottom left, you'll see my name. Yes, I am the Chunkus Lad. I thought that was pretty punny because I changed my name to Chungus Lad and okay. Anyway, I am more than excited, more than ready, and I'm excited to get started. That's all I can really say. I'm really excited to get started. I'm ready to grind. Let's do it. Let's make the most stupid and insane account that there is out there. Let's have some fun.